Welcome. We are going to get started in just 1 minute. So before we get started, I just want to ask everyone to go to connect and log in. That way you can follow along with the presentation. So it might be a little bit more impactful. We are going to be recording the presentation, so you will have access. By the time we edit it down, it'll probably take about a week, but we'll post that in the resources library on the Financial Literacy Leadership Group at that time. But I will make sure to shoot an email out so everyone knows it's available. I also wanted to let you know if you have any questions, please feel free to pop those in the chat. Or if you're here in person, you can just ask those as well. But we'll answer them as we go so we don't lose any momentum and we can directly address any questions you have. So I will introduce Caitlin Basler, who is our Director of Member Technology and Engagement. She is our in-house Higher Logic community guru, and she is going to walk us through the first portion of our agenda.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. All right, so we're just gonna jump right in. So we are in a test account today. We're gonna start with creating a volunteer opportunity, then moving into how to contact anyone who has applied, looking at those applicants in the report, how to accept a volunteer, and then closing out our opportunity. So once you're logged in, if you have volunteer admin permissions, you'll see this black bar up at the top, and you can go ahead and click on admin. Did it log us out? There we go. You'll click on programs, volunteer, and list. So at first glance, you'll see a list of all of our current volunteer opportunities. If you wanted to see what was already in the queue for financial literacy, you could click on show filter. Under types of opportunity, select financial literacy and click apply filter. And that'll show you everything that is currently open. If you wanted to look at a past volunteer opportunity, you could change the opportunity status, uncheck open, and click on either closed, archived, or deadline passed, or all slots filled. And that'll give you anything that is tied to the financial literacy volunteer opportunities that is not currently open. And lastly, if you have a volunteer opportunity that you haven't posted yet, but you start it and you didn't put a date that has made it live, you can look at on hold, and that would show you if there was anything currently on hold. So if you started something and had to go back. So we'll go ahead and we will start and create an opportunity from scratch by clicking on create opportunity. Under opportunity type, you'll be able to drop down and select financial literacy. You can put in the full title of the event. And for application form, you'll keep it as create new application form with form builder. And then in the description, you're just going to add your full description, kind of all of the details. You don't have to add the date, the time, anything like that. We'll be able to fill in all those details below. So just kind of a text and a general overview of what volunteers should expect. You can add pictures, links, anything that you need to upload. There's full HTML editing capabilities in here. You can style the text if you need to, as long as it stays within branding. For integration code, this is a field you don't have to worry about. Always leave that blank. For associated community, while you're all alliance leaders or in the volunteer community, you just want to make sure that you're not selecting the leadership, or else the general financial literacy volunteer pool won't be able to see it. So we just want to make sure that we select financial literacy volunteers. And what this does is it sends out the volunteer opportunity to anyone who is in the volunteer community who has said they have opted in to receive volunteer opportunity emails or requests that match their interests. Since you are logged in, you are going to be automatically chosen as the primary contact record. If you did want to go ahead and choose another individual, if you're setting this up for another Alliance leader or one of your volunteers, you could go in, and as long as they're a member in the system, you'd be able to search and look them up. For location, you have the option to put in a physical location if this is going to be on site, online, or not applicable. So we'll put in our address for now. Right, and then we won't upload an image right now. Renee will go over later where you can find the image that you will be able to upload if you do not have one of the venue or something that matches the appropriate branding. Is this open-ended? So this is where you can add the date. So most of your events are going to have a stop and an end date. So you want to go ahead and put those in. So we'll say that this is going to start on Friday. And the sign up deadline has to be before the start date, or it's going to give you an error message and make you go and change those dates. And the end date also has to be after the start date or on the start date. Publish date. So if you leave this blank, it's automatically going to publish right away on the website. If you're not quite ready to share with everyone and you just want to save this as a draft, you can go ahead and put a future date in. But we'll just leave this blank so we can go ahead and see it populate. Qualifications necessary to volunteer. So we have the Finlit topics already generated in here. And when our volunteers apply every year, they fill out their interests for what they would like to be contacted on. So we can go ahead and just select a few. You should always try to at least select one. And then when inviting match on, you can just say any of the selected qualifications. Estimated volunteer hours per volunteer. You can just put how many they should expect between prep time, presentation time, and if there's anything that is needed for them after the conclusion of the program, any follow-up or reviews or anything of that nature. If you'd like to add experience, you can add any of the qualifying experience. Or you can leave it for no experience necessary, depending on what you're looking for and what your individual qualifications are. And then it's important to always put in how many volunteers you will require. Just make sure that you are including yourself in that number if you will also be participating in that alliance. So you could say that you need 4 volunteers, but we'll actually add ourselves in. So then we'd have room for 3 more volunteers that we need to recruit. We don't offer CE credits at this time for financial literacy, so you'll just leave that blank. And then under the email templates, these are all set up for you, so you don't have to worry about changing any of them. We have defaulted language for financial literacy specific emails going out. So this is just kind of the first portion, and then we'll hit next step and move on to the application builder. Are there any questions yet? Great. All right, so this is where we can go ahead and ask any questions. Everything is kind of drag and drop. What we don't need to ask here is anyone's name, email, company, phone number. Because an individual has to be a member and has to be logged in, we already have all that information collected. So this is just asking anything very specific to the opportunity. So we can go ahead and we can drag this. This would just be an open text box. Why do you want to present? Whatever information you're looking to collect, whether or not it's required. You have the ability to ask yes, no questions, choice boxes. So if you are presenting for a presentation that has like multiple sessions on one day, you could say which time preference do you have? And save. And then if you want to remove a question, you can just go ahead and drag it right outside of that gray box and it will disappear. So you can add as many questions as you need to. Obviously, just keep it simple, just since you're already have access to all their demographic data. So once you have all your questions filled out, you can go to click on Next Steps, Invitations. So this is going to tell us if there's any volunteers that match this opportunity requirement. So there's 23 volunteers who have opted into the 2 topics that I selected and have the necessary experience and qualifications. Just since this is a testing invite, I'm not going to go ahead and send it out. So I can tighten it, and it will go out to less volunteers, or if you wanted it to go out to all the volunteers of the financial literacy community, regardless of what interest they have, you could loosen it, and you'll see that there's 78 people who are in the FinLit community. If you wanted to invite anyone specific to apply, if someone hasn't confirmed, but you think they might be a good individual to apply, you could go ahead and find and invite them by looking them up right here. And then we can go to our last step of adding specific volunteers. So this is a good time if you are going to be present at this volunteer opportunity to add yourself. So I'll go ahead and add my record in there. You can keep it to yes to auto approve. And since it's yourself, you don't need to send them an email notification, and then click finish. So at this point, our volunteer application is going to be done. So if we go to our volunteer opportunities, we'll see test for training. You'll see the date, the location, and since I'm logged in and I just approved myself, it says my application was approved 23 seconds. If you click in, you'll be able to see all of the details, any of the description, qualifications that we mentioned, and then that you are the primary contact for it. If you want to edit anything on the opportunity itself, you can go ahead and click directly edit opportunity. So we could edit any of these details that we need to, and click save. So you'll notice when we click save, it's not going to bring us back to those application questions. If you do want to go ahead and edit the application itself, you would need to go to back into the admin. And under edit, click edit application. So then this would just bring you specifically back to the application questions if you had any edits there. Great. So that is everything on how to create the volunteer opportunity itself. Any questions yet? Great. All right, so we'll look at how to send notifications to volunteers. So I'll go back here. So we will click on just zero invitation. So this is going to be your little manage volunteer portal. So you'll notice that this individual is already confirmed just because I said that it could auto approve ourselves. So let me just go in and we'll actually add another volunteer to the opportunity. So you'll see right here under this little drop down, we can add another volunteer. And this time I'm going to not auto approve them, so they come up in our wait list. All right, so you'll see we have one individual waiting for approval. So I could go ahead and check that individual off to say that you are selecting. And then from here, you can go ahead and email these individuals. So if you have any questions prior to accepting them for the approval to present, or if you have questions and you want to further follow up and clarify anything on their application, you can email them right from here. You don't have to copy their email and go into your own email. Once you send the message from here, you'll get the copy of the email in your inbox, and then from there you can just continue to reply if you have any further communications. But this is the easiest way to contact the individual without having to go and dig and find any of their information. So from here, we can go ahead and accept and approve the individual. So you'll notice that they went from waiting for approval to the 2 confirmed for the 4 slots. So we just need 2 more volunteers, and then waiting for rating. So at this point, we'll go and take a look at our reports. So depending on the format of what you are looking for, you can look at applicants by opportunity. You can go ahead and click on view report. And then you're just going to need to select in the very long list the name and click on view report. So you'll see right now that this gives us the name and the application status of approved, which is not super helpful. If you do export it to Excel, you will be given all the details that you need about an individual. And just know you are downloading personal information for individuals, and they can only be contacted on behalf of financial literacy. Once you are done with any of these reports, just make sure you delete them. So this would give you everything that you needed to know about the individual, including any of their volunteer history that they filled out in their volunteer profile, any of their interests, and then the answers of the questions that you asked specifically. So that is one view. If you prefer to see it on an individual view instead of a full Excel, you can go ahead and look at the applicant cards per opportunity. And again, just select in this very long list. And then you'll be able to see kind of the full volunteer opportunities in a different format with their volunteer profile. And this can also be exported to either a PDF or an Excel. All right. Oh goodness, the bar is in my way. And those are going to be probably the 2 reports that you access the most. Question?
This person asked, usually I create a group email to all the volunteers in one email, not separate email. Is there a way to do a group email in Connect? Like if you selected all, you said one specific communication to everyone?
Yes, it would be, you could send it to everyone that you check off at the same time, but I think it would still be individual emails.
Individual emails?
Yes.
Connect.
Yes.
But then once you download the report and you've accepted everyone, you could then send group emails through your own personal email as well.
Yep. Any other questions?
No.
Great. And then the last one that'll be probably helpful is the volunteer opportunities by opportunity type. So for this one, you'll just be able to select financial literacy, and then you can enter a start date. So if you just wanted to see everything since the start of the member year. This would give you a nice overview of everything that financial literacy has been working on and all the different initiatives with their start and end dates, how many volunteers need it, invitations, volunteers approved, location, and community. So that is just a high level overview, quick report. All right, so we will go back to the volunteer opportunity itself. We already have our 2 approved, so we'll go ahead at this time and we will rate them. So in order for an individual to receive credit and for the volunteer opportunity to show up in their volunteer history, you just need to close it out and rate them. So you can click on waiting for rating, and you'll see we have 2 outstanding volunteers. You can check them off individually. You have the ability to rate on stars. We would just suggest at this point rating 5 stars for attend, or just marking them as did not attend, just so we have a good idea, just to make sure that volunteers aren't no-showing over and over again. So we'll just go ahead and give them a 5-star rating. You'll see that we have 1 individual left. We will do the same. And then you'll see that they have now moved to the completed tab. So they now have a history. So if we go into our test record 1 profile, and we look at their volunteer profile, we will now see under their history that the test for training is showing up and that they received 12 engagement points for it. And then because this individual is in the volunteer admin community, you can see that they are given specific recommendations for financial literacy opportunities that are still open. So that's another great way that financial literacy volunteers can see opportunities that are relevant to them. All right, and I think that is it. Is there any further questions? No. All right, great.
Okay, everyone. Thank you, Caitlin. We will be continuing on to the third item on the agenda, which is just.
We just got one.
Oh,
question
sure.
I can answer. How important is it to close out opportunities? It's extremely important. If you don't close out the opportunity, your volunteers don't receive that history or credit, and that opportunity will always show up as kind of an open opportunity, and it will never go into kind of like the past or the archive groups.
So if you haven't closed out an opportunity, you still can. It's never too late. And if you need help doing that, please let Caitlin or I know, and we can, make sure that we close those out. I think we sort of arbitrarily closed them out previously just to start the new year. But as we come to the close of this member year, it would be great for our financial literacy leaders to just close out any outstanding opportunities that are still open. So I'm going to show you the Financial Literacy Leadership Resource Library, just to give you an idea and overview of how that works. So right now we're in all communities, but you can also go to My Communities. It shortens the list a little bit. So then financial literacy is right here. The Financial Literacy Leadership Group is very specific to those on the phone today, as well as anyone who's coming on as an alliance leader, excuse me, or anyone who needs direct access to the presentations for our alliances. So we're going to just click right in there so you can see it. Sorry. So we're going to start in the library itself. Okay, so you can see this. Right now it's showing no folder selected. So you click on the folders, and this is the confusing part, is that even though it says 0, there are not 0 things in those folders. We'll start here with alliances. When you click on the plus button, it will show you all of the alliances we have had for the most part over the past, I would say this is probably inclusive of the past like 6 years, and the varying presentations in each one. If you are a new alliance leader or you're working with a new alliance and you need a folder added, you just need to email me and I can add that in for you. It's one of the things you as alliance leaders can't do. I try to add them as the requests come in, but if I miss it, please just shoot me an email. It only takes a few minutes. So this is where you can see all of our presentations that we have done for each group. Part of serving as an alliance leader is that once the presentation has been completely finalized and is over, is that you need to upload the presentation in the appropriate folder so that other alliance leaders can use those materials rather than starting from scratch or starting from something that's more outdated than something you just presented. So that is an important part of the process. This folder here, again, it says 0, but there are things in it. These are not our most updated presentations. These are our core presentation folders, which were updated when we switched over to using the Connect platform back in 2022. We have a wonderful group of volunteers who are going to be working on updating our content starting next week. So they will be looking at these presentations, all of these core ones, to see about updating those. So we have sort of a fresh place to start. That will include updating all of the branding. So everything, reflects where we are at this time. So I'm going to go here next to our resources folder, which is probably one of the most important folders we have. There is a lot of things in there. Some of them are, snapshots in time, survey responses, reports. We have a folder here that is handouts. These are examples of handouts we have done in the past that you could take and use and update accordingly. If you're not sure if something is right or you have any questions, it's always safer to ask. I'm happy to help, and our financial literacy council members are all very happy to help, and so are our chairs. So our resources tab here has a lot of material. So the graphic that Caitlin referred to add to the volunteer opportunity, we have one right here that is on brand. You can click over here and you click here and you can download it. When you download it, then you can re-upload it as part of that application process. We also have, as mentioned, we did update our branding. So if you are taking a past presentation that still has periwinkle in green on it, we are switching to blue and blue. It's a lot of blue for our branding now. So you want to make sure you update the PowerPoint accordingly. We have directions on how to quickly update the PowerPoint. We also have, of course, the actual PowerPoint template. We kept the puzzle pieces, but we just changed them to reflect the current branding that the society has. I also sent in the agenda a link to our Alliance Leader Guide, but you can always find it here in the resources page. That has a lot of information. It's very clickable with the contents. It also has like a quick snapshot in there as well. You can download that there or view it just to help you through each step. That includes everything that Caitlin went over and the information that I'm sharing with you now. So it is really a helpful place to start. And we will update that again for 2025 or our 2024-2025 member year. As things, continuously progress with technology, we try to update that as much as possible. Another item we will be adding soon is a social media guide for you to post to social media about the offerings that you're doing. I think the work that the society does in financial literacy is so important, and sharing that with the community through LinkedIn, your personal social media, is a great way to do that. And we'll have some guides and tips and tricks available to you all in the coming weeks. So that is something to look forward to. You can always, though, take pictures and send it to myself, or you can send it to our finlit@cfaboston.org email, and we can post that on behalf of the society on LinkedIn. If you're posting before the guide is out, I would like to just remind everyone that you do not speak on behalf of the society, but you can state that you are a volunteer with CFA Society Boston and you presented to XYZ organization. In the document, it will also include a few notes about taking pictures. If you're taking pictures and there are students in it, under 18, we don't want those pictures. We don't have permission from parents to post pictures of minors. If they're over 18 at a school or somewhere else, you just need to make sure we have permission to share those photos. Otherwise, we can blur them out, or you can take a picture from the back, or a picture of you as the presenter in front of the screen. But we just want to be very cognizant of people's privacy. So the next item I want to show you, that is a good overview of the resources. Definitely click around, take a peek.
Suzanne, do we have a release
for photos? No, Suzanne, but that's a great question. We could make one as part of the social media guide. I'm writing it down. Any others? Okay. So the next thing I wanted to show you is another part of closing out your volunteer opportunity. Not only do you get to rate the volunteers, who are all excellent, but we also want to collect information about the opportunity itself. So if we go to the Financial Literacy Community Home, at the top, you see these buttons. This is our Finlit Alliance review. This will take you right to a form that you should complete after the presentations are over. So if you're doing multiple sessions over time, you can do one per session. If you prefer to do them all at once, you can do that as well. But you would enter, the date that you're adding this information, your name, your email. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, the name of the alliance. We try to collect the alliance primary contact name, just so if we have any follow-up that we would like to do, we can, or for some reason you need to drop off as a financial literacy volunteer. I know that won't happen, but if you did, we could still keep that relationship going. We like to include the date of the offering, the name of the volunteers, was it a series, the topics that were offered. We love to know the number of attendees and, possibly the age if you can, just for our own, data collection purposes, the location, and then any comments or feedback. Once you submit that, go back. The results will actually show up here at this button, the Finlit Alliance Review Results. So from here, I'm trying not to be impatient. Can't see. I opened it in a new tab because it was being slow. Okay. Here you can actually see the results of everything that has been entered for this calendar year. So this is really helpful, one, for us to see the wonderful impact that we're making, and to be able to report that to the membership, to the general community. But it's also helpful for you as Alliance leaders. If you're looking to say, when's the last time, or has someone recently offered something on, sorry, let me go over a little bit. When did someone do something on rent versus buy? Like, I need to present that to my organization. Then, I can look at this one here. I can put a little, so we're looking at, row 3. We can see that that was offered to, I gotta scroll over. That was Jerry Hawley, and he presented it at the library's Norwood. So you could then say, like, okay, I would like to use that presentation as a starting point because the data is probably a little bit more updated than some other things. And you could actually find that in the library. If you go back to the library folder, you click here, you go to Alliances, and then ideally, it would be in here. We do a lot of work with libraries, so there's a lot of examples in here, or you may be able to see additional ones. So you should be able to cross-reference. If the presentation you're looking for is not in that folder, you also have Jerry's email address where you could email him and ask him, can you send me the latest version of that you used for that topic? So this really helps you serve as a tool to sort of navigate what has been offered. What's the most recent example of a presentation within the library itself? Does anyone have any questions about these resources specifically?
Nothing yet.
Okay. I mean, that is a general overview. The last thing I want to show you, though, is if we go back to the community home. is the Finlit admin training link. It is right here at the top. If you click on that, you can actually see different resources. So this will be continuously updated over the next few weeks. So be sure to check back, but we have different trainings. I can click on this one, is what we sent out. This is a step-by-step guide on how to log in, how to add it. Basically, you know, what Caitlin just went over. We will also have this recording available. We will add it to that page as well. And you can see some video recordings that we did in 2021 when the volunteer community was brand new. Most of it is still accurate. There's a few nuances that have changed since those recordings were created. But some of them, like the community overview, your Connect profile, reports, those are relatively the same. So you can still use those as a resource to go hand in hand with your Alliance Leader Guide. If you're having trouble following the step-by-step guides we're creating, you can also use that video as a reference. And then again, the staff is here to help you. Yeah. So I think that's it for our agenda. We went over it relatively quickly. Does anyone have any questions at all?
Not seeing anything in the chat.
Okay. All right. Well, if there are no questions, then I can give everyone back
Renee, it's Suzanne.
15
Sorry.
minutes of their lunch hour.
Suzanne,
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
that's great.
Renee, can you hear
Go
me?
ahead and just ask it out loud, Suzanne.
Can you hear me? Oh.
Not-
Oh, right. We can't hear her because of this. Oh, wait.
Sorry, Suzanne, we had to kind of change our audio around today, so we're unable to hear you. Are you able to add it to the chat real quick? When are the renewals going out?
So member renewals will go out in May. You'll receive notices from for those who are society-only members and for our members who are members of the society and the institute. You'll receive notices in early May, and then we'll be sending a notice out more formally May 20th-ish that week. And just for everyone on this call, the only other thing I suppose I will add is one, definitely make sure you renew. Just so you can keep access to all of the systems, because financial literacy, it's sounding like it's ramping up to be a very busy summer with a lot of fun and new alliances and initiatives. So it's definitely good to renew on time so there's no glitches in your access to Connect or the system. We also ask that you apply for the Financial Literacy 2024-2025 volunteer opportunity.
Yes, and it was asked if the application process will be the same for volunteers, and it is.
Yep.
Just make sure your Finlit topics are selected and currently up to date. You resubmit. You don't have to fill out every field if you are a returning volunteer.
Mhm.
And then if you are an alliance leader, as most of you on this call are, just make sure you add in the alliances that you work with, just so we have that information on file.
And you want to make sure that it is the 2024-2025 one. The 2023-2024 opportunity is up because people are still signing up to volunteer this year. So there's no, so we get new volunteers, we get a couple every week usually. So we want to encourage them to keep getting involved. And then we'll ask them to submit it again for 2024-2025. So our data is clean and you guys are reaching out to volunteers who are still, willing to serve in this capacity rather than sending out notices to individuals who are no longer looking to volunteer. Great. Okay, well, if anyone has any questions after this, please, you can just respond to me on that group email I sent with the agenda. You can message me in Connect, or you can old fashioned call me. It's totally fine. We're here to help you succeed in what is a great initiative. So thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we hope that this was helpful.